The way I got the job is I belonged to a credit organization, and there was a gentleman here that was the credit manager, and he and I and his wife became friendly, and he decided he wanted to retire. So he asked me if I wanted to come see and apply for the position, so I did, and I was hired, and that's when I first started with Hammond Lumber Company.
I started off just as a regular person in the yard, picking and loading trucks. I did a lot of truck driving at the beginning. I did the shipping as I moved in, did some sales, but I have been the yard foreman for about 19 years now.
I applied for a job at Hammond Lumber Company 4 times before Donald finally gave in and got sick of me bugging him, I think. They were either desperate, needed somebody to come in and do all of the junk that nobody else was willing to do. So finally, he gave me the opportunity.
And I started working in the yard. And they had me working in the pine bin, and from there on to other picking and transfer tasks. I soon became the Auburn transfer driver, and was outside receiver in Auburn, and then shipper in Auburn, and then in '97 they purchased Fairfield Lumber, and became assistant manager under Al Feather in Fairfield. And a couple of years after that, Don Hammond asked me if I would like to be sales manager.
Well, I was working in the garage and I wanted something different, so I can't remember, somebody told me about Hammond Lumber might be hiring, so I come and put an application in, and I come back several times and spoke to Donald and called him a few times, and then he finally, one day, said he'd give me a try. I've been here ever since.
So I drove down to Belgrade, and I met Bill Nutting down there, and he said, do you have any drafting experiences in the building trades and stuff? And I said, yeah. And I showed him a few drawings, and he introduced me to Don Hammond, and they said, well, he says, when can you start? I said, anytime. He says, well, take your coat off and have a seat.
I had been doing volunteer work in Mexico, and I was in charge of an orchard and a vineyard, and I was used to working outside. So when I came back to Maine, my dad worked for Hammond Lumber at the time and introduced me to Skip, and Skip had a tree farm, Christmas tree farm, so I went to work for him.
Well, I started working at Hammond Lumber Company when I was in the 8th grade. I worked in the planer mill. At the time, a mill had burned down in southern Maine, and Skip was planing their lumber in the evening, so he did his own work done during the day, and then from about 5 till 7 or 8 o'clock at night, we were planing that other person's lumber, and that's what I did when I first started. And then I got fired for asking for a Saturday off, and came back to work the following summer for Donald.
Yeah, the first day of work was very interesting. They don't have the training like they have now. So basically, I showed up and they put me in the door shop and they showed me how to make doors. And I think it was about a week before I met my first Hammond employee, or my first Hammond too. And it was Donald. And one day we were working late hanging doors, and this guy came in and was watching me and Steve Pare hang doors at the time. And finally, I basically had to ask him who he was, and I found out it was Donald Hammond, who I was working for.
The first day on the job, a guy with green Dickie pants and an orange hunting jacket came up to me and said, "Hey, you're the new fella. You're here to pick up some of the slack in the drafting department." "Yep," I says, "I sure am going to be able to try hard, you know, I'm going to try my best." "Well, that's all we can ask for." And he shook my hand and went off, and I said to Bill Nutting, I said, "Well, who was that guy?" And he said, "That's the owner of the company, Skip Hammond."
And there were just 3 of us on the front counter at that point, and the receptionist. So that, yeah, it was a lot of fun. We did takeoffs right at the counter and waited on trade. And then we were handwriting tickets. So yeah, I always say that I think probably the reason we have computers is because they couldn't read my handwriting.
Actually, there was 3 stores when I started. I've seen the 9 more come online since I've been here. Hammond's, they seem to know when to expand, and they know how to expand. And since I've been here, I have seen very few layoffs. They've always been hiring. There's always been a hiring list.
Changes. It's awesome to talk to somebody. When I started, there was only 2 stores, and now we have 12. You know, it's just amazing. You know, just active, fast growing. Took advantage of all the challenges we had, and we just hit them head on, and here we are today.
Michael and Donald Hammond do a wonderful job keeping up with all of their employees as much as they can. I really don't know how they do it some days, how they remember everybody's names, or in what they do and where they work. You know, it's incredible how much this company's grown.
I have definitely seen a lot of changes in the company over the years, mostly in physical growth, but I really believe that the core values, those things that the company was founded on, have pretty much remained the same. So the external expression of those values has grown and expanded and evolved, but I think at the heart of this company, things have stayed the same, and that is to treat your customers fairly, to do things to the best of your ability, and if you say you're going to do something, to follow through with that. So those things haven't changed.
When we first started, we were over in what used to be the grain mill over there, and then eventually they built that little house that went on the end of the building, and then the first part of this store, and then the expansion of this store, and then all the branch stores, and there's been a lot of changes.
Well, when I started, there was 2 stores, and when we went to the Christmas party, there was 20 or 25 people, and now there's 12 stores, and we have the Civic Center for our Christmas parties.
Well, first of all, the Hammonds themselves are extremely hard workers. They're here day in and day out. They wouldn't ask us to do anything that they wouldn't do themselves or haven't already done themselves. But I think they would admit this too, is the key to the success of Hammond Lumber Company is our people. We have some of the best people in the industry. They're dedicated to the job. They seem to love their job. They love the company. They come in and day out and work their tails off and do it come in and do it again the next day. I just got an email yesterday from a customer in Portland that just couldn't say enough good about one of our salespeople down there, and we get those a lot.
We see it every day now. Now with 12 stores, and so many people, I don't even know their names. However, if I call a shipper in Auburn and I need something picked up at a vendor, he'll make sure it happens, it'll get back to me, we'll deliver it, and the customer will have that product the next day. And someone came to me yesterday, one of the salesmen on the front counter, and said, geez, I did this and I called down and I'm delivering it today. And they transferred it from Portland. And I said, that's the norm. Everybody is working together.
Donald Hammond's tenacity, his unwillingness to give up ever on anything, his ability to think outside the box and make it work.
For the most part, I think our customers are, the way you treat them is how they respond back to you. And I think that's why over the course of collecting the years here, I've learned that you treat them the way you want to be treated. And that helps Hammond Lumber Company be the success they are today.
The willingness for the Hammonds to get dirty, to do the job themselves. You know, it's anybody that knows Skip Hammond, the founder of the company, knew that a suit, coat, and tie was not anything that he was interested in. He wanted to be in work clothes, getting dirty, doing whatever needed to be done in order to get the job done. When it came to building new stores or building a warehouse, he was usually up on the roof pounding nails along with whoever else was doing it. It wasn't something that he was spending money asking somebody else to do that job. So the keys to the success, or what I feel is one of the biggest reasons for our success, is that they're not afraid of hard work. They're willing to do the job themselves. They're not asking anybody else to do something that they wouldn't be willing to do themselves.
And I think another key role, key asset, another key thing for Hammond Lumbers is their employees. They have some incredible talent that work for this company. I mean, just I say that, I can say that because I work here and I see it every day, but I also hear it from our vendors, from our customers. We have some of the best employees in this industry. And you put that with Donald and Mike's drive and with their knowledge, and they're in the office again giving us direction each and every day where they want us to go. It's just it's a driving force, really. It has to equal success. If you measure it from where we started years ago and to working up to over $100 million in sales.
One thing I've learned actually from Al is the involvement with the community and how much it makes a difference with Hammond. It's nice we're involved in parades and in town functions, and it makes a difference. It really does, and it seems to draw in more people actually. It just makes it more of a family community, or they feel more, I guess you could say, confident coming here.
I don't think Mike's any different than his father, just younger. I think they're twins. I mean, Mike probably has a different management style. I don't work with Mike that much. I've always worked with Donald, and Donald always rattled at me, so I don't know. I think Mike is going to continue on without any question and continue to grow this business beyond what we can even imagine today, I think, if he's given the opportunity.
Well, if you think back, I mean, 60 years, I mean, you know, Skip Hammond and Verna starting a sawmill, you know, and then having a few employees and a delivery truck, and then Donald coming in and getting a store and a door shop and you know, that's incredible vision, you know. And then they expanded to a few more stores. Donald did that, and you know, I remember Michael and Sarah running it down the hallways in Belgrade when we were doing inventory the old-fashioned way by hand. And you know, those little guys were, you know, brother and sister running up and down the hallways while we were doing inventory, you know. Did we think that they were going to be vice president and part of the company, you know? But look at them today, you know, I'm glad they are. I mean, the vision and the ethics, you know, from both of them are incredible. I mean, Mike Hammond, I saw Mike Hammond work in a sawmill, drive delivery truck, work in a door shop. You know, nothing was handed to them.
And you know, Skip was a very, very much of a hard worker. He was a huge hard worker. He, like I said, just like his father and son, they've inherited that trait as well. Skip would be out there 20 below, out there working on that building with you know, the contractor Jim Smith at that time, building the E shed, I think they called it. And I remember a time when Skip was driving by one day and I was sanding the yard. We would have someone driving the forklift, and then we had a pallet that was filled with salted sand. And we'd take a flat shovel and we would just kind of spin it and follow the forklift around, as we didn't have a truck and a sander back then. So we would basically sand the yard by hand. And he saw me one day and gave me a lesson on how to spread sand. He goes, "Give me that shovel." As he backed up, and he started throwing sand right across my legs and my shoes, and I kept backing up, and he kept just covering my shoes and my legs. This is how you do it. You do it this fast, and you do it this far. You take a little bit of sand and you throw it all. He said, "You're wasting it. You're wasting it." He says. I mean, just his mentality of just, you know, that's how he built this business. You know, he's just scrimping and saving and doing things right, not doing them twice, not wasting any time or any dollars.
When I was moved into sales, I was still kind of making the same amount of money I was making in the door shop. And then all of a sudden, Skip here went like this one day, like this. He took me down the paint aisle and I said, "Oh boy, I'm in trouble now." And he's told me he was going to give me a raise, and this is what he was going to give me. And I said, "Oh, Skip, that's very generous. You don't have to do that." And he said, "Get back to MC and keep making me money."
If I was 25 and working at Hammond Lumber, whatever my job was, if I could figure out a way to do my boss's job and do it better than him so that he could go do something else and I could take his job, I don't think Donald would stand in the way of that. I mean, if somebody could do my job better and I could do something else for Hammond Lumber that would enhance Hammond Lumber, I don't see any problem with that.
I just say new folks just need to work hard. You know, pay attention, listen to what they say, what you're told, and do the best you can. And I think that will open up a lot of opportunities in this company.
Yeah, my dad worked here for 15 years at the planer mill until he retired, well, probably 10 years ago. Now my son works here up in the sawmill. So it's a pretty family-oriented place.
You know, I remember getting out of college and working at Hammond Lumber, and I thought I knew it all because I was out of college. But you know, after a couple of weeks on the job, boy, I was like, no way did I know it all. But I will say I have the utmost respect to the Hammond family, that the reason why I'm successful is because of them. Their values and their coaching and their teaching.
I had a father, I love my father, but Skip was my second dad, and Donald, to fine-tune you once you got out. They're two of the people that can get every bit of water out of a hole, and they bring everything out of you that you never thought you had in you, and they brought it out. Because I look back to where I used to be, how shy, you know, and some of the things I've accomplished in my life, would have never done it without their prodding and their just working here. You know, they bring out the best, you know, so it's been quite a ride.
This is not easy to speak, but I honestly feel that the company's been so good to me that I needed to do this for them.
It's been a pleasure working here all these years. It's just fun to see, you know, all the people that I worked with over the years. Now I'm seeing their kids working for the company and stuff, and they're growing up. It's been a great time. You know, I mean, can't believe how fast years have gone by.